G'day ladies and gentlemen, Scotty D here from the Australia's Tabletop Wargaming Network, and welcome into another installment in our From Sprue to Tabletop series. Alrighty everyone, so this is the next installment in our From Sprue to Tabletop series, and in today's video what we're going to be looking at is we're going to look at a really simple technique on how to do plasma glow effects using some objective source lighting and some dry brushing to actually achieve a nice plasma glow on the plasma pistol for our assault intercessor, as well as working on some skin tones and working on the faces just in a very simple way, and kind of showing you guys how you can go about doing that as well if you're wanting to add some detail and depth to the faces of your miniatures rather than just a straight base coat with a wash over the top that I'm also personally used to doing. And it's good to delve into that for this video as well and show you guys how I go about that and how I learnt to go about that as well. But before we jump in, I want to thank everyone who is supporting us here on YouTube with your subscriptions and checking out our videos, liking the videos and such as well. And I hope you do find this From Sprue to Tabletop series encouraging in terms of your own hobbying. And if you have any feedback or anything, let us know down in the comments. Always love hearing what you guys have to say. Also want to do a massive shout out to those who financially support us on Ko-Fi and on Twitch as well. Our Twitch subs and Ko-Fi supporters are really helpful when it comes to purchasing new equipment and maintaining our gear and helping us to get to other events across the southeastern seaboard of the country when we do tournament coverage. But for what we're going to be doing for the From Sprue to Tabletop with the plasma glow, we're actually going to do green plasma. Now, you can apply this kind of technique to any different color of plasma, and it's always recommended that you find a plasma that's going to accent the color of the armor as well as the gun casing that you're doing for your plasma weapons. Now, you can apply this technique to a lot of different weapons as well. If you wanted to do it for Gorse Glow as well, you could do it there, and a few other instances across the game as well. But why don't we jump over to the hobby desk and just jump straight on into it. Alrighty everyone, so as we were saying at the intro, we're going to be working on a couple of different areas of the Assault Intercessor today, and the first area we're going to work on is we're going to be working on the plasma glow for the plasma pistol. Now, I'm going to show you on this Vanguard veteran the kind of effect we want, which is on his plasma. Just kind of see there's a little bit of OSL, so objective source lighting, going on through some different techniques we're going to talk about today and how you can go to achieve that, and if you want to get it at a higher degree, how you can do so. Now, the brushes we're going to make use of today that we are going to be preparing as well, we've got our Army Paint and Regiment brush that is going to be for getting our paints out. We have got a brand new Army Paint detail brush that we are also going to be primarily using for our painting. We've then also got an Army Painter Insane detail brush that we'll be using as well and making some good use of. And then we've got an Army Painter Hobby dry brush. Now, this is going to be one of the key tools we're using for today because we're going to do a bit of dry brushing. I'm going to walk you through how we're going to be doing this for the plasma glow. So to start off with, we've got our color range. And so we've got kind of 4 different colors here for the plasma that we're going to use to build up over time. So we're going to start off with Caliban green as kind of that base color for the plasma glow, because you want to start off with a relatively dark color to have in those recesses. So just going to put a bunch out on the wet palette. And so this is why we also did go with black as the as kind of the priming color for this surface. So I'm going to move my other brushes out of the way for the moment. We're going to grab our detail brush, water this green down just a touch, so then we can come in and very carefully base coat around the plasma. Alrighty, so we've got that base coat down on the plasma pistol there, and whilst that is drying, I'm going to kind of talk you through the next kind of process we're going to do for this plasma pistol. So we're actually going to build up with 2 dry brushing steps and a final kind of highlight step for the plasma pistol. So what this will do is that it'll add a nice amount of gradient in terms of color with your plasma glow, and you don't necessarily have to go as high on that first plasma pistol that I did for the Vanguard Veteran. I actually only did the one glow, which was with Warpstone Glow. And so we've gotten a little bit of Warpstone Glow out. And so this is where the dry brushing comes in. So we're going to grab our dry brush, and I've got an extra piece of paper towel here because you don't want to use the same paper towel as what you're wiping the wet brush off on. You want to use an additional one, and as you can see, I've got a bunch of different colors in there that I have used over time, and I'm just want to make sure that that green is going to be dry in time before we start this process, and it's mostly going to be. So you grab your dry brush, just get it into there, probably about that much. You don't need any more than that, and then you just wipe it off on the paper towel. Now there are different ways you can get different effects with dry brushing, but we want a decent amount on there so that when we come in, you just want to grab some of these edges, and it will take a little bit of time. And you'll notice that in some cases I'm making use of the flat edge of the brush, in others I'm making use of the straight edge, so flat edge, straight edge, in terms of how I'm referring to it. So it just really depends on where I'm wanting to get that color spread. And you can already start to see some of the effects that we're having with the dry brush, and you can start to see on the actual casing a little bit of that OSL that we were wanting to go for. So now that we've done that, you can really see that that is starting to pop quite nicely. And so we're just going to wash out our dry brush. Now, we are pretty much going to use it straight away again. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this dry brush is as dry as it can possibly be. So we've already got a lot of the excess water, but I'm just going to kind of brush it around on the actual paper towel, make sure that it is fully dry, because that'll actually get a lot of the excess moisture that might be caught up in the ferrule out of the actual brush and the bristles down onto the paper towel. So next up, we're going to grab our moot green, and this is going to be kind of our highest color that we are going to use for the plasma. And so we're just going to grab a little bit of that again, but we're not going to do as much dry brushing with it here. Now I know that, as I said, this is kind of an easier method for doing plasma, and it definitely is. It's probably the more basic method of doing it. There are other ways you can go about it that we may look at in the future as well. We're just wanting to get that kind of nice effect on those top coils as well. And almost about done. So there you go, there's your plasma. You've got a little bit of the OSL going, which we're going to make sure around those top areas we get that glow happening, but it's more on those top corners where we really want it. And so there you can see it's got a nice glow starting to form, and so it's going to be really solid when we hit it with the final color, which is going to be the white. Now, you don't necessarily have to do this step if you don't want to, but the white is going to be kind of an edge highlight as it were, for the plasma, kind of to show where there is kind of an apex of the glow right on some of those higher sections. Now, we're not going to dry brush it. We're actually going to edge highlight it. And so we're going to use white scar for this, and I know I've got a whole bunch of crap on my white scar, but I'm just going to grab a little bit out, and we're going to grab our insane detail brush for this. Grab the insane detail brush, and with the white, we don't need a whole heap on the brush. But all we're going to do is very lightly pick out those apexes on the plasma. Alright, so now with those apexes done, it might look a little jarring. And so you're probably thinking, yeah, it is. It does make it pop quite a lot. So we're actually going to come back through, and we're actually going to dull it down a little bit with some moot green, and we're going to dry brush over the top again. But we're not going to do a significant dry brush. We're just going to do kind of those areas where the white actually is, just so then it doesn't look like it's been like proper white. And it does have that green tinge to it, so you can see that it's that white apex for the plasma as well on those edges. And with that done, that is a really nice, effective plasma glow that you can get done for the Assault Intercessor. Alrighty, so now we've got the plasma glow done and it looks awesome. I'm really happy with how it came out on this guy. Sure, the white did initially look too stark, and that's why we went over it with a bit of a dry brush to blend it back in to that lighter color of moot green with those 4 stages of coloration as well. Always working up towards that white and then doing that highest dry brush over the top to tone it back down a little bit into the same color range. Did really well. I'm super happy with how it come out. Now, we're going to jump into working on the skin tone. Now, skin tones can vary a lot in terms of dark skin, lighter skin. You could do more olive skin, more elven skin, and they do widely differ in the game of Warhammer 40,000. Now, you can also apply this technique if you're painting, say, Tyranid skin, or if you're working on Orc skin, or any other different color skin, even Genestealer cults, for example, as well. So really sit down and check this out. If you haven't done flesh tones before and working with faces, I understand how daunting it can be. It was very daunting for myself when I initially did it when I was working on the Lion, one of my recent commissions as well, but I was really happy with the results. And so I'm going to actually work on doing more faces throughout my armies as well to just kind of add that depth through the different layering and such as well. So why don't we just jump straight on in to see how we go about actually working up skin tones for your miniatures. Alrighty everyone, so the next detail we're going to work on in this video, as I did say at the start, is the flesh. Now generally what you can do with the flesh is you could just hit it with a base coat and then hit it with a wash, which is what I have done here. I've done rat skin flesh as the base coat and then Reikland flesh shade for the wash, but I want to show you a really easy and effective way to actually build up the flesh on how you can actually achieve it. So we're actually going to go back to the rat skin flesh for the base coat that we used, and we're actually going to use that as the first layer on the actual skin that we're going to build up. Now, it's important that you actually exercise some control here. We're still using the same 3 brushes that I mentioned at the start. So we've got the detail brush, the insane detail brush, and the regiment brush. So I'm actually going to grab our new detail brush here and making sure that we water down the rat skin flesh to a decent amount. We're actually going to come back in and we're actually going to build that color back up over the top of where we have washed it. Now, you want to be very particular about where you hit. You don't necessarily want to hit any recesses or any areas where you might not expect it to be this bright. So we're just going to come in and work it on and over all the different areas that we want to build the color back up onto for this guy's flesh. Alrighty, so that is kind of the first layer built up on this guy's flesh. Now, the next color we're going to work on is the Cadian flesh tone. So the principle here is you want to hit less area each time you build up the color. So just then when we hit it with rat skin flesh, we only hit probably about 65% of the area of the face. Now, we kind of only want to hit about 40% of the area of the face when we are building up this color, so that then it's not going to be as noticeable. Well, it's not going to necessarily be, it's going to show that depth is what we're trying to achieve here. So where we've done those build up of color, I'm just kind of going to aim for the center in some of these areas and just build it up. You know, we'll hit like the eyebrows and the crest of the nose and such, and the cheek strains and such as well. But when it comes to like the flat of the head, you don't necessarily want to hit all of where we built up. Just kind of some of it, and let it really crest to where, okay, that's kind of where the sun would be hitting it, or something along those lines. Then we're going to grab Kislev flesh. The same principle kind of applies here as well, is we're actually not going to hit the areas that we hit all of the Cadian flesh tone, but we're going to hit all of the kind of important raised areas. And I'm actually going to swap to the insane detail brush for this step, because we don't want to hit almost every area. We just want to hit those kind of highlight kind of areas with this. And so having solid brush control and such is going to be really important when we're working with this color. And there you go, that is the face also completed on this guy. Now you can see that there is a decent amount of tone shift in it as well, from the lighter areas right down to the depths of the shadows and such as well. And we tone down the teeth as well, which we will go over with a little bit of Kislev flesh. But again, we're going to glaze it very, very carefully, just in such a way that does apply that brightness. And then we've also got to fix up just a little bit here, just on the top of the lip, just that crest there. So yeah, it's a really basic way to do skin. Obviously there are better techniques and such out there, but that is one that when you've got a lot of definition in the face, you can actually pick up some of those raised areas and such as well. Now, we have just finished our face on our assault intercessor, and by gosh, it came up really nice, and I'm really happy with it, and I hope that it comes across in terms of how it looks. There are some areas where it could be a bit better in terms of the detail work, but for the most part, it did come up quite nicely there as well. And we've got it on the rotator on screen for you now, so you can see what that looks like when it's all assembled together with the rest of the model, along with the plasma glow on the plasma pistol also. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, well, that is going to be it for this installment of From Sprue to Tabletop. I hope you did learn a lot when it comes to working on both plasma glow and skin tones to add some more detail and depth to your miniatures, particularly in your plasma weaponry and your face and skin tones as well. And as I did say before we jumped into the skin tones, it is very much applicable to a lot of different skin tones in Warhammer 40,000, no matter whether you're doing Space Marines or Sisters Battle or humans, basically, or whether you're also doing stuff like Eldar or Genestealer cults, Tyranids, Orcs, anything that doesn't have traditional human style skin. As well, you can also apply that same 3-tone build up by working with different color tones and such as well to represent different styles of skin for humanoids in Warhammer 40,000. Now, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit it with a like. If you have any feedback on these style of videos as well, make sure to leave it down in the comment section, because I really do want to improve this educational painting series to cover a lot of things that you guys do want to see covered. Like, I know something that people have asked for is magnetization and how to go about magnetizing models, so that's one video I've already got in the banks from some feedback. So if you have any feedback, it'd be greatly appreciated. And if you do enjoy this series and want to catch more of this series as well as other content we create here on the Australis Tabletop Wargaming Network, make sure to hit that sub button, turn on that notification bell so you're able to be notified as to when we are releasing more videos. And if you have any questions around your own hobbying or some of these techniques, feel free to come and find us live over on Twitch. We mainly do Monday and Friday night streams at the moment, but with me moving, it does mean that this can change depending on where we are living. And so bear in mind that, and make sure you're following the channel, turn on that notification bell as well so you're able to be notified when we are going live with a hobbying stream or tournament coverage or whatever we're doing on the Twitch channel for the ATWN. And I also want to thank all of our supporters on both our Ko-Fi and Twitch. And if you haven't checked out our Ko-Fi page, please go over and do so. If you feel so inclined to financially support us, you can do so with a one-off tip, or you can do a monthly membership or purchase some coaching from myself, whether that's painting or gaming or organizing events and communities and such as well. We have that available also there, or you can purchase some ATWN merch. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank each and every one of you for sticking with us for this video, and I hope to catch you in the next one.